Hello, Danvers, and welcome to another exciting edition of Danvers Daily. As always, I am the Executive Director of DCAT, Greg Dolan, and today I'm lucky enough to be joined by Ben Thomas, who's the production manager here. We're here to recap a little bit about what we've been up to this summer, because it's been a minute since we've done one of these, and talk a little bit about what's coming up in the fall, because fall gets busy quick. So this summer, some of our favorite stuff, we can talk about the concerts. This summer library concert series was awesome, as always.
Very diverse group of musicians and performances, and they were all awesome.
Yeah, so one of the cool things about it for us, from like a production standpoint that I like, is we have a combination of volunteers and staff who work on it together. Jim Light, who's back there, I know did a number of them. We had quite a few people who came out and helped, and they're really cool. One of the other things I like about it is the summer concerts are fun. In the winter, when it gets cold, you can put them on, watch them, listen to some good music, and remember that someday the sun will shine again. So let's take a quick look. I believe we have a clip from Andy Broth. All right, so that was a clip from Annie. She's always great, and all the other performers are excellent this year too. It's worth checking out. They're on our channels, and they're also on our YouTube channel. So if you're sitting around doing some work around the house, you can put on the concert, listen to it, check in, see what they were all about. One of the other things that was really exciting that we started, we have a new program with J.D. Martz from the Accessibility Commission. You might know him from. Also a frequent flyer on Danvers Daily. So what is this show about, Ben?
Yeah, so the new show is called Seen and Heard, where JD interviews people with disabilities, invisible and visible, and get to know a little bit more about what people are going through.
Yeah, and one of the cool things I liked about JD's show is the first show, he actually did an interesting thing, which is even though it's his show and he's the interviewer, he was actually interviewed for the first episode, which I thought set the table really well. So it's worth watching both. He has 2 episodes out so far, one where he's hosting and interviewed, and one where he actually turns the table and gets interviewed himself, and they're both excellent. So we're going to look at a quick clip from the second show.
Hi, I'm JD, and welcome to an episode of Seen and Heard. This is a show where I will interview all different kinds of people living with all different kinds of disabilities and just getting them to share their lived experience so we can learn more about them. So today, our guest is Christy, and welcome, Christy.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Great. It's great to have you. Thanks for coming in. So I kind of just want to start with, how do you feel about the word disability?
To me, it doesn't have a lot of it doesn't carry a lot of emotional weight, partly because it's fairly new to my own experience. I think that in general, I don't like to define things by what they're not. And so if I were to pull it apart semantically, probably I would come up with something else. But it's the term that we use across the nation and for a variety of different ability levels. And so I'm coming to terms with it.
All right, so if you haven't seen and Heard, see it and hear it. It is excellent. It's worth watching. The next thing we want to touch on is one of my favorite things about every summer, which is our youth programming. So we had 3 camps this summer. Ben taught all of them, so no one better to talk about these camps than Ben, except maybe the kids who are in it, but someday we'll get them on.
Yes, we had 3 camps. We had the video game camp, which is kind of based around playing video games and streaming and production with that kind of element. We had the beginners camp, which is kind of like a starting block for some kids who want to learn more about production. And then we had the short film camp, where we made a short film start to finish, wrote a script, came up with an idea. The kids had great ideas. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that one's really fun. So they have 1 week. They're here 3 hours a day, and they have to write, produce, edit an entire short film. Hi, Claire. In 1 week, which is a big task. That would be a big task for a production company, never mind a group of kids who may or may not have done anything ever like that before. So that one's really cool. We don't have a clip for that one, but that movie is also worth watching, and those kids are worth watching too because they're going great places.
Yep.
The next one we're going to talk about, we actually have a new meeting, which is something we don't always cover on here. We typically cover, select board, zoning, planning, conservation, school committee, accessibility. What am I missing? human rights and inclusion. I'm probably missing one, but we also added the town manager Town Manager Act Review Committee, I believe is the official title for that one. Town Meeting Manager Acts Review Committee. There it is on the screen. So this one is really interesting, where they're taking a look at the town charter and discussing any potential changes to it. That is a really interesting meeting. So there's a group of people. On this one, they brought some people in remotely to talk about it, and it's worth following. Those meetings are going to be coming up in, I think, next week. We have one next Wednesday.
I believe that's correct.
The first Wednesday of September, if you're watching this at a later date. And that one will be live on our channels as well as on YouTube, as will all the other ones going forward. So that one is worth checking out as a new meeting. And I don't want to spoil it because it's not official yet, but there will be one other meeting added to our agenda, likely in October. Stay tuned for you government meeting aficionados out there. I know you're watching, so thank you so much. And then the last thing we just wanted to touch on, Ben, is new shows.
Yep. So for new shows, if anybody has any interest in creating their own show, talking about something that they're interested in front of a camera for everybody to see, please let us know, and we'd be happy to help you facilitate the creation of that.
Yeah. So we are here to help. We make the process very simple for editing, putting together a show, producing. Keep it simple and make it an enjoyable thing you can do. Make your voice heard. If you have a special interest, get that out in the community. It's really great. We're also always looking for volunteers, so shout out to Jim, Beverly, and Claire working in the back. We always appreciate our volunteers' help, and there's always a place if you want to come in, learn a little bit about production, work with some awesome people. I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about the other volunteers. There's a really good group of people who come here and do work behind the scenes and help make this whole operation go. So thank you to them, and thank you to you for potentially doing that in the future. And always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an awesome day. I hope you have a great long weekend, and we'll see you next time.